Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video I am going to be using the #1 pound for pound fighter in the world, Kamaru Usman, and the #2 ranked pound for pound fighter in the world, Alexander Volkanovski. And in this gameplays I'm going to be showcasing today, I'm going to be coming up against knee elbow spammers, and as of recently I've seen this a lot more. There was something that you would have to deal with in the higher ends of ranked. You'll see a lot of people on the top 100 leaderboards have this style, and if it's not knee elbow spamming, it's clinch, and then when you get out of the clinch they throw that uppercut. So it's normally one or the other, and unfortunately this is why the rankings don't mean anything, because players will adopt this play style in order just to build up points and, you know, get onto the top 100s and claim they have a spot in it. And it just goes to show that the rankings don't mean anything, because it doesn't mean that those fighters actually have skill on the game. They're just very good at exploiting certain broken mechanics in order to win fights. So ever since Martial Mind made that video against that player called Rowdy Savage, I think, I noticed that I have come up against it a lot more often. And it's good because Martial was trying to expose how fighters really fight in the top 100, but as a drawback from that, he exposed that playstyle to a lot more people that probably wouldn't have seen it before, and they saw how successful that playstyle can be, and then they have now chosen to implement it. And I'm coming up against it a lot more, so I just thought I'd showcase these two gameplays using the two best in the pound for pound rankings against elbow/knee spammers. And before I get into the actual gameplay breakdown, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone that's supporting the channel as of recently, whether that's the streams or the videos. Just want to say a big thank you to you guys. It really means a lot. At the time of recording, I think I'm on 305 subscribers, so growing at a good rate, and I just appreciate all you guys. And to everyone that's requested fighter specific videos, I know that I've got a Vadum video, a Brian Ortega video, and a Saki video. They're all in the works, so I definitely haven't forgotten about those. It might just take me a little longer to get those videos uploaded, but don't worry, because that definitely will happen. If not, I will use those fighters on stream, so look forward to that. But yeah, getting into the actual breakdown, you can see that early on, especially with Max Holloway, it's always going to be tough when it's a knee elbow spammer, just because Max has a tremendous amount of cardio. I still don't understand how Max is a 5-star fighter, but Volkanovski isn't. I think that's something that really needs to be addressed, because Volkanovski is definitely a 5-star fighter. There is no doubt about it, especially after his amazing performances as of recently. I know he's scheduled to fight Max for the 3rd time. Maybe if he beats him then, maybe I'll give him 5-star, but who knows. Easiest way to deal with knee elbow spammers, in my opinion, is, this is obviously depending on who you're using, but in this matchup here, I was always going to take the fight to the ground, just because I have a significant advantage when the fight gets to the ground. And when Max is off his back, he's not going to be as threatening, and he can't throw those knee or elbow combinations to do some damage. So the easiest thing to do is you've got to stay calm. You can't overthink anything. You can't get too frustrated, which I know is incredibly difficult. But the main way to beat these players is to just stay calm. You know what's going to happen. It's going to be knee, elbows, and if it's not the regular elbow, it'll be the spinning elbow, or you've got the spinning back fist, you've got the flying knees. So there is a couple things to think about. As you can see, he comes out gunning there. So you just got to be very, very careful, especially those knees to the body. They absolutely rinse your stamina, which is why I always try to predict the timing of the knee. And as you can see, he's just trying to chain these elbows. I'm staying very, very comfortable. That's the important thing there. He comes with the flying knee, and again, that does a lot of damage. So it's important not to duck down to avoid the elbows. If anything, sway backwards like you would with a hook, because that's got more of a chance of avoiding them and leaving you less prone to a flying knee or a regular knee. Because if you duck down and get hit by one of those, it's going to do a tremendous amount of damage. And you can see here that the way this Max is playing with the knee elbows, because Max has so much stamina, it's going to be really effective, because Max can keep just coming and coming and coming and throwing so many strikes, and it's not really going to affect Max at all. You can see throwing a tremendous amount of strikes, get the knockdown here, and get the finish. And that's all just because I stayed calm, didn't panic, just waited. The opportunity was always going to present itself as long as you're playing smart. And in this matchup here, we are going to be using the men's number one pound for pound fighter in the world, Kamaru Usman, and we're coming up against Gilbert Burns. And Gilbert Burns, after his buff, is a huge problem. I mean, he's so fast. He's incredible boxing, good arsenal of kicks. You can see the knee and elbows are very good, as this my opponent here is showcasing. But he's just a huge problem, especially when the fight gets onto the ground. I think he's definitely the best fighter, a welterweight right now on the game. He just flows effortlessly, and he can give anyone a problem. Doesn't matter who it is. It can be the elites of the elites. It can be Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards, Wonderboy, Bilal, Luque. It doesn't matter who you use against Gilbert Burns. You're always going to have a chance. But you can see that my opponent is using the knee elbow play style to his advantage, and a lot of my fights are 5-round fights just because of how I'm in Division 20, and it's very important to just stay calm. And sometimes you can afford to give up a round, and this is something that I talk about often, is that the first round I'll normally let my opponent do whatever they want to do to a certain degree, just to figure out patterns and combinations and look to exploit that in the second round onwards. Because if I start making those adjustments in the first, then my opponent can completely change his play style. So sometimes I let my opponent purposely have their way, just so I can figure out those combinations and patterns, and then look to exploit them in the future rounds. And that's exactly what I'm doing with here. I'm noticing that, of course, my opponent wants to utilize the knees and elbows, and in the boxing pocket, my opponent's throwing hooks and quite, 3-punch combinations. He's slipping the jab and coming across with the hook. So it's all things that I'm picking up on, and I'm going to utilize. It's just, you've got to be careful in this approach, because as you can see, I do get knocked down, and yeah, it's not the best start to the first round. However, as I'm saying, you have got to stay calm. I am going to be looking to take this fight onto the ground, because once it's onto the ground, it's going to be a completely different fight. You'll find that a lot of the fighters that adopt this play style actually aren't very good on the ground. There is some, anomalies in that prediction there, just because there are some fighters, especially in the top 100, that are great on the ground and do approach this cheesy play style. But the vast majority of fighters cannot fight off their back. So I would highly recommend, whenever coming up against a knee elbow spammer, to take them to the ground and really test their ground game, just to see if they are good on the ground. Because if they're not, you know exactly what you've got to do in order to win this fight. It just makes it a bit easier for you that you don't have to stay on the feet and just survive the onslaught of knees and elbows, because it does get to you. It is incredibly frustrating, especially when you want to just hop on, have fun, try sim how a fighter fights in real life, and then you're coming up against this where someone's just constantly knee elbow spamming and just looking to break that block, wear it down, and get easy knockdowns. Because that's the ultimate goal here, is to break your block and then get easy knockdowns from it. You can see, look at the relentless pressure, and EA have known about this issue for ages. They've known that this has been a very big problem, the chaining the combination of the knee and elbow, and they just still haven't got around to fixing it. I mean, it's just EA for you. They don't really want to fix anything, even though loads of content creators told them that this is a huge issue. But nonetheless, it's still a problem in Season 16. But you can see now that I've got Gilbert Burns onto the ground, and this is where, a lot of these fighters will pick someone like Gilbert Burns, is because of how good he is on the ground, is to counteract you taking them down. It's to give that threat that, they're going to be able to do something off of their back or reverse the position. But using Usman, I felt more than comfortable in taking Burns down. I know I've just got to be careful because of certain transitions, and I've got to keep my stamina high to not get submitted. And I've really got to build up GA before going for anything, because if this fight gets back onto the feet, I know that Gilbert Burns is just going to continue to knee and elbow spam. Whereas on the ground right now, offensively, Gilbert Burns isn't offering much. So that's something that I've definitely taken from it. Get him into the crucifix here. And I'm just going to remain calm. I'm going to throw strikes to slowly lower Burns' head health. But again, I'm not going to try and chain them. I'm not going to throw them in a rhythm, because that's the biggest mistake someone can make when getting a fighter into the crucifix position, is throwing the elbows in a pattern. Because if Burns can predict that pattern, then Burns can shrug me off with ease and get me out of an extremely dominant position. Although you get back into side control, crucifix tends to be more dominant just because there's less ways out. You can only transition left or right. But my opponent done a good job in getting out of that position. Head health Burns right now is looking worse for wear. As you can see, when I postured up there and threw some ground and pound, Usman has phenomenal ground and pound. You can see that Burns was really struggling. Get back into the crucifix position here to land more of those devastating blunt elbows and just really try to wear away at that head health. You can see that I'm starting to deny the transitions easier and easier. At this current time, with 30 seconds left, I don't have too much time, so I couldn't really look for any submissions. And Burns has obviously phenomenal submission defense, and you can see that Burns is really panicking here, getting a lot of deniers, and this is perfect for me because this is absolutely rinsing my opponent's stamina. My opponent's head health is also non-existent. So coming into this third round here, I know that if I get my opponent onto the ground, then the fight's pretty much over, because he's not going to be able to escape crucifix. Definitely doesn't have the stamina advantage. Shoot for a takedown early on, gets denied. I'm not too worried because I know that once we disengage, I've definitely got the stamina advantage, so I can shoot for another, we get it. So the important thing there is you can see the first takedown I turned one way, got denied. So on the second takedown attempt, I turned a different way and we were successful. A lot of people online often shoot for takedowns and they turn them, which is a great thing to do. However, they keep turning them the same way, so it's very predictable to deny. They don't make that small adjustment, and that's the adjustment that can get the fight onto the ground and really make a difference, as you can see in this fight here. Now that Burns is off his back, you can see that this Burns player in particular doesn't want to be here, just wants to be on the feet to knee elbow spam. He was instantly looking to get up, and here I'm just being patient. I'm waiting to see what Burns wants to do before I posture up and throw some strikes, because often or not players do easily deny the mount and then can get up from there. And I think Burns might even have a leg lock attempt from here. I wouldn't be too worried about it, but yeah, I think Burns does have that little threat there if your stamina's quite low, if you overthrow. And I also don't want to get reversed. You can see that the ground and pound is doing a crazy amount of damage. And this welterweight division, man, is so good. It's so stacked. It's got killers in everything. Killers in the stand-up, killers in the ground game. I think it's the best division to play in just because there's such a wide variety of fighters who are just absolute killers. But into side control here, getting in these elbows, getting in these deniers, straight into crucifix. And again, patient, throw those elbows, and he quits. So that's making a knee elbow spammer quit. He, although he's cheesy, didn't want to stick it out and ride out the L. So that's the video for today. If you did enjoy it, like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.